result of being in that project?
Yeah, it's been threatened a number of times.
But you survived.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you
can't
think
get rid of me that easily?
Okay, well, why do you think you survived? Were you protected? But were some people protecting you, or?
Oh, undoubtedly.
Think so? And what about Al Bielek? Do you think that, in other words, Al Bielek had, you know, I met him, and he had a lot of sort of very negative entities that would follow him around. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Because, you know, I'm an intuitive, and what would happen in his presence is there would be a lot of, well, first of all, scalar weaponry operational, but also there seemed to be it was very, very cold. And I sat and had, while he was being interviewed this is quite a long time ago, by Paola Harris, if you remember her.
Who?
And it became colder and colder and colder in the room while he was being interviewed.
Yeah.
Did you ever experience anything like that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So in terms of protection, do you feel that feel that he was being protected, or do you feel that he was not being protected?
He was partially protected.
Okay. Now, what about Peter Moon? Are you still in touch with Peter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now, as far as what was going on in terms of the time travel element, first of all, did you ever meet David Anderson?
Yes, I met Dave, sure.
Oh, okay. And do you feel that he's on the right track with his time travel research?
Well, for what he wants to do, he is. He doesn't want to build a time machine. He's interested in, you know, practical applications of time manipulating technology. His idea is to take out a heart for transplant, put it in a field that slows down time so you have more time to move it.
Oh, right. Very sort of medical applications.
Well, that's one of them.
Uh-huh. Okay, now what is it that you want to do? What you seem to want to do is go into alternate realities. Am I right?
Well, basically, I'm using alternate realities. See, starting in when I was 60, you know, when I moved up here, my life transitioned from being an engineer, scientist, technical person to going more into spirituality. I am a Native American Indian, and I'm going into that style shamanism. And I'm using my new technology in connection with that. I'm considered to be a technical musical shaman for modern times, you know, for problems with modern times. And that's basically the bent that my life is now taking.
Okay, that's very interesting. So are you, in a sense, you know, how music has healing vibration? Are you trying to do? So you're trying to do some healing as well with your sound? Okay.
But we only market musical meditation or vision questing.
Okay.
I do not make any claims for healing aspects whatsoever.
I understand. I totally understand. Yeah, for sure.
But it is well known, even in the medical field, that music does have quite a healing aspect if you reproduce what is known as full spectrum music. For it to be healing, you've got to have the bass reproduced exactly as it was recorded. Because the healing aspects is more in the bass response than the mid-range and treble.
Interesting,
you have to be able to go from at least 20 hertz for cycles all the way up to 20 kilohertz.
Have you heard about that there's a difference between what's called the Fibonacci sequence and another sort of form of sequential? Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's all part of sacred mathematics.
Uh-huh. So are you using any particular I guess, musical, I don't know, do you happen to know, Dan Burish was also working in this area?
Mm-hmm.
Were you familiar with some of the stuff he was doing with the Lotus Project?
Yeah, I have some of the CDs.
I see. Is there any difference in certain musical tonalities that you found in terms of healing sequences?
Well, first of all, I do not use generated tonalities, artificially generated tonalities. I've been using basically classical orchestrated music. Because when you start playing with artificially generated tonalities at the level I am, we've had some problems doing that stuff.
What kind of problems?
I won't go into that, but we've had some problems.
Can you warp space-time using sound?
Say again?
Can you warp space-time using sound?
Sound and light you can.
So you need light as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you use crystals at all?
Yep.
You do. So are you using crystals or silicon, Okay, we're going to sort of a break here, and we'll be right back with Preston Nichols. Hi there, this is Kerry Cassidy, Project Camelot Whistleblower Radio, and we're talking to Preston Nichols. Preston, are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, very good. So, may I ask you this, did you do some experiments with Al Bielek in the last few years before he died?
No, I didn't.
So you guys weren't able to work together at all?
No, we weren't.
How about Duncan Cameron? Is he still alive?
Yes, he's alive yet.
Okay, are you still in touch with him?
Mm-hmm.
You are?
Yep.
And are you able to work together with him at all?
No, he's going on his own path.
I see. So when the things that you're investigating now, do you have the help of the government, or are they trying to, in other words, do they interfere with you, or are you able to go your own way?
Well, I'm going my own way. And yes, they do try to interfere.
Okay. What are you actually trying to do now that wasn't done back in the days of Montauk?
Well, basically, I'm going into genetics and age regression.
Okay, how are you getting into genetics and age regression using quantum physics and sound?
Well, let's see. Sound can be used to modify the DNA, the genome. This is why you have to be very careful what sound you're using.
Okay.
This is why I'm using all natural functions.
Very interesting.
That stuff won't destroy anyone.
Okay, and are you familiar with the chakras?
Mm-hmm.
And so you must be using the sound in connection with the chakras, right?
Well, right now I'm trying to learn how to pick out the genetic signature using music.
Okay, and have you had any luck?
A little bit.
I see. Okay, well, that's great that you're doing that. I think that's fascinating. If you use crystals, you use them, I'm not sure how you use them, but are you using them as a focus point?
No, I'm using them as a quantum amplification over the transformers and the amplifiers.
Oh, so to amplify.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Otis Carr?
I've heard of it.
But, well, he's somebody who worked with Tesla.
At least that's what he claimed. I don't know for sure.
That's true. Have you, well, it sounds, do you even know, I'm from Project Camelot. Are you familiar with Project Camelot?
No, not really.
Okay, well, I did an interview with someone named Ralph Ring. Have you ever heard of Ralph?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, he worked with Otis Carr, and they created a craft back in the 60s that actually was, and it was shaped like a flying saucer, and actually he time traveled. and he has evidence of having done that. And one of the things that Otis Carr, who was quite a brilliant man, and his writings are available in case you were interested in reading them, but at any rate, one of the things he told them to do, and they were using crystals in that craft, is to mentally concentrate on the visual spectrum of aquamarine.
Mm-hmm.
And are you familiar with the powers of different colors in concert with sound and crystals?
Yeah.
You are. Are you working with that at all?
To some extent.
I see. Have you been able to go into, say, the fourth dimension?
Mentally, yes. Physically, no.
Okay. What about any other dimensions?
Well, I believe, I can't prove it, but I've already traveled up to the reality that the being we call God is in.
Okay. So that would be several dimensions beyond. I'm sorry?
Quite a few realities beyond.
I see. And when you're in those other realities, do you want to talk about what your experiences have been?
Well, that's very interesting to go into what I'm calling the seventh level or the seventh domain. Because, yeah, I had to have something to eat right away because I was starting to lose blood sugar. So I apologize for sounding like I'm eating and talking.
Okay.
But basically, the discovery is there's basically two critters that we could call God. You have basically the God of Christ, which is love, light, peace, happiness. Then you got the God of Abraham, which is a little bit on the nasty side. One is known as Tabor, that's the God of love, and the other one is known as Ra. And when I studied the Bible as a kid in Catholic school, you know, we had catechism, I used to wonder, why is the Bible have two lines, you know, two storylines in it? The Old Testament is the wrath of God. God wants you to sacrifice. Then you get into the New Testament, where the being we know as Jesus Christ appeared, and all of a sudden it turns into love and light. I know
That's
why.
right.
There's basically two of them. There's the God of Abraham and the God of Jesus Christ.
Well, God might be a bit of an elevated term for the wrathful one, in my opinion. That could also be called the Anunnaki.
You know, I'm wondering, is it the negative side and the positive side of the same being?
Okay, well, that's one way of looking at it, possibly. However, you know, well, this gets into a philosophical argument on what the Bible really is. You know, the Bible is written words by that are written by man, and also it's been heavily messed with over the centuries, as I'm sure you're familiar with. Mm-hmm. And there's evidence that what we on Earth call God is actually just the Anunnaki, and that the current incarnation of humans is only one of the seedings of humanity, that we've actually been here a number of times, and that this time around the so-called ruler class of the planet was this group that, Sitchin spent a fair amount of time talking about the Sumerian tablets revealed to be the Anunnaki. So, but that's all very interesting. So you've been traveling in these realms, and you've been trying to put the pieces together, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. And do you happen to meet with any Native American groups?
Yeah, I do, sure.
Okay. And which tribe are you affiliated with?
Mohawk.
Oh.
Mohawk and Montauk.
Okay.
Mohawks are upstate New York Native Indians, and Montauk is the east end of Long Island.
Absolutely.
And they're two different groups. The Montaukets look very Egyptian. And the Mohawks look quite Nordic.
Really?
Yeah.